Hey there, folks. Welcome to another edition of Stranger in a Southern Land. I, of course, am your host, Jake Manning. Today in the program, I speak with Charleston-based comedian Mike Brocki. Mike, who was in town to do my show, the all-organic open mic at the Evening Muse. I was very excited to have Mike in town. I was like, hey, why don't you come a little bit early? Come over to the home studio and let's record a podcast. He was all jazzed up about it, and so was I. We were ready to go. We were firing on all cylinders, and as soon as we were about ready to sit down, the power went out. There was a little bit of a thunderstorm happening here in Charlotte, and of course, every time that happens, I seem to lose power. So we had to wait around in the dark for about an hour. We got to be good friends, got to talk, chatted up quite a bit, and I feel like we got to know each other a little better. And then when the power came on, we're like, all right, let's hurry up and do this before we go over to the show. And things got a little weird because we were very comfortable with each other. And I think you kind of picked that up in the very beginning of this podcast. Some of you listening to the beginning of this podcast be like, why are they talking like this? Why are they kind of goofing around? And that's kind of because that's what we were doing an hour before the power came back on. And so that's probably going to come off a little bit weird for the beginning of this. I got to let you know up front about it. But we do get back on track, and we do have an in-depth conversation, which is kind of what this whole podcast is about. But at the same time, too, it's a conversation. It's gonna go where it's gonna go, and it just got funny and goofing around and riffing in the beginning. And hey, if we're gonna do that for most of it, so be it. I don't care. I enjoyed talking to Mike. It was a wonderful conversation. Asked a lot of in-depth questions, and when it came time for the question of success, I grilled the crap out of him. I gotta confess, I grilled him harder than any guest I've ever grilled before, ever, when it came to the question of success. I really made him stand behind his answers. I did not put up with any BS at that moment in time. That is for sure. So I highly recommend you stick around for the end of this podcast, because I really challenge Mike to come up with some good answers about the topic of success. So anyways, this podcast is a success because of people like at the Shining Wizards Network. I can't thank them enough for all the support they give to this podcast and kind of making the cool kids table a little bit larger, as I always say here on the podcast. So make sure you check out all their great podcasts at shiningwizardsnetwork.com. Also, too, big thank you to my producer Don at dsct.tv, especially for producing the other podcasts that I do with him. Of course, How Did This Get Booked? Make sure you look up for more information about that at howdidthisgetbooked.com. Since we're plugging other things that I do, this is the time where I gotta throw some dates at you. I've got some more dates coming up. I booked some more today, so I want to make sure I get them out in the world, let you know the best opportunity to see me perform comedy, wrestling, improv, all kinds of stuff going on. So gonna feed it to you right now, get through as quickly as possible so we can get into this wonderful podcast with Mike Brocki. But right here at the top, I gotta let you guys know about Sunday, August 14th. I'll be performing at the Charlotte Comedy Zone for Funny on the Fly. I've kind of missed out most of season 2 just because of scheduling. I've been doing all kinds of wrestling. Wrestling got really busy for me because I thought my career was going to be over a few weeks ago, trying to get it all in before it was done, but it's continuing on. And of course, Funny on the Fly I thought was over, but I guess it's a season 2 retry, and it'll be happening Sunday, August 14th at the Comedy Zone. For more information about that show, make sure you log on to cltcomedyzone.com. And then Friday and Saturday, August 19th and 20th, I will be emceeing at Bonkers, which is at the Executive Park Hilton in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's actually where I met Mike Brocki. So lots of great comedians usually coming through in Bonkers. Bonkers trying to get this thing off the ground, so make sure you show up to the Executive Park Hilton Friday and Saturday, August 19th and 20th. And then, of course, the Sunday of that weekend, which is Sunday, August 21st, PWX returns to Club Escapade, which is on Independence Boulevard, just in the shadow of the old Independence Arena. So make sure you come out for that show. I'll be wrestling Cedric Alexander. That's going to be a big one. I'll be defending my title, my newly won PWX title. So for more information about that show and where you can get tickets, make sure you log on to pwxpro.com. Now, Friday, August 26th, Saturday, August 27th, and then Sunday, August 28th. Also, too, Thursday, August 25th, I will be with Northeast Wrestling on this big, huge loop. The 25th, the Thursday date, is a makeup of July 30th. That got rained out, so instead of making a triple shot, it is a four-peat. I will be basically contracted to be with Northeast Wrestling 4 days in a row. That's from the 25th all the way to the 28th, and we're going to be in Rockland, New York, around Fishkill, New York one day, in Massachusetts, Bethany, Connecticut, and all over the place. And I think Jushin Thunder Liger is going to be there all 4 days. I think even Cody Rhodes is going to be there all 4 days. Ric Flair, I think, might be at a couple of them. I may be misspeaking. I definitely know Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and the Hardy Boys are going to be at some of these. So big, huge events coming up from Northeast Wrestling. For more information about those shows, make sure you log on to northeastwrestling.com. Anyways, as I always remind you, things come up last second, things come up last minute, and the best way to know about shows that happen like that just kind of pop up, is to follow me on social media, and that is very easy to do. I'm very active on Twitter, @ManScoutManning, or on Instagram, @ManScoutManning. If you have a question about this podcast, or if you want to become a sponsor of this podcast, make sure you email me at jake@sslshow.com, or if you want to book me for an upcoming wrestling event, make sure you email me at manscoutmanning@yahoo.com. Anyways, without further ado, hopefully I got through all of this intro before the power went out again. that'd be a tragedy. It goes out twice in this whole podcast, but luckily we got through this intro. We're about to jump into this wonderful podcast with Charleston-based comedian Mike Brocki, here on Stranger in a Southern Land. I was smiling, but you can't see it with the mustache. It's a trick. You can't tell if I'm angry or mad.
Have we already started?
Oh, of course.
All right.
We just roll right into it. I mean, I've been recording the whole time. Ever since you got here. Like this whole hour, we've been waiting for the power to come back on. We've already been recording. It's gonna be all part of a bonus. It's all big. That's my whole theme of my podcast.
Oh, that's how you get them.
You get here, I shut the power off, and then I secretly record you for about an hour or so.
Good.
Take it Harris Teeter, get you liquored up, and then the last hour. This is the golden hour where we get all the stuff where you shit on everybody.
Get a really candid interview that way.
Really candid. You start exposing yourself. Like I was just telling you all the people that have committed, told me all the awful things of their life, relatives dying and the awful things that have happened to them. I'm expecting much of the same from you. So that's how I operate. That's how the show operates. So,
well, I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you here.
I'm Mike Brocki, by the way.
Don't worry, I do a big intro.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I do a big flowery intro. Like, I know you feel like, I haven't even said my name. Like, yeah, no, I have to do a big intro and talk about how wonderful and great person, how awesome this podcast is.
This is the most visually stimulating room I've ever been in. There's a cage thing right there. They can't see it. It's off camera.
Yeah, it's all my wrestlers.
I'm just going to comment on everything that's off camera. There's some crazy shit all around here.
Yeah, there's a ton of spandex. Like, this is like where I keep all of my spandex, my girlfriend's spandex.
I'll say this is the most spandex I've ever seen in a single room.
There's some people that might debate that, but as far as you seeing that, like, yeah, people probably seen more, but as far as your virgin eyes of spandex, yeah, this probably nails it for you for sure.
Absolutely.
But yeah, this is at the home studio. This is where the magic happens.
I like it.
So got a nice banner and everything like that. But yeah, Mike.
Cool. So this is what the podcast is called.
Yeah, Stranger in a Southern Land, because
you are a stranger
in a southern land. Much like yourself, who a Midwest man yourself.
What a great segue. You're a pro.
Fucking right I am. God damn, I'm a fucking pro.
Yeah. I'm from Gurnee, Illinois, originally. That's where I went to high school. Yeah. So I guess that's hometown, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd consider that, like Preston.
Because I was born in Michigan, but I don't consider that my hometown.
Yeah, I was born in Clinton, Iowa. I don't count Clinton, Iowa. It's river trash.
Sure.
Preston, Iowa is my hometown.
Yeah, Preston, totally not river trash.
No, definitely.
Completely different.
Completely different. Obviously the reputation spread all the way to Gurnee, so you know
absolutely.
That much.
Yeah.
But what was it like growing up in the Midwest, my friend? Humid summers and cold winters, I imagine.
It was interesting. It was interesting. That's why I moved to Charleston. That's where I live now, to be away from the snow. I hate snow.
I hate it too. I can imagine if you were born in Michigan, so obviously you probably had a reason to go up there a couple other times. Like that's just awful. Like in like December and stuff like that.
Yeah, Charleston gets cold, but it gets like 40 degrees. Yeah. Very manageable.
Yeah, it's right there on the water, so it's probably tempers the cold, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
So that's gotta be nice. But
I think people from the Midwest are pretty nice too, like nice people. Southern people down south are nice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's pretty similar. I like to live places where people are nice,
That's
very
your goal.
very kind.
Mm-hmm. Just nice, kind people.
Baby feelings, yeah. East Coast, it's a little bit different. People are a little bit more rude.
Oh, tell me about it. I just got back from New York, and it felt like the most aggressive thing ever. Like, just the traffic and everything. I couldn't handle it. I can't handle it up there. I'm actually going to be up there for 4 days wrestling, and it's basically like I go to New York, Massachusetts, New York, and then Connecticut. So it's like a big zigzag through the Northeast.
So, not a lot of people know this. If you want to take your comedy to the next level, you got to think about moving to a bigger city.
Yes.
So you would not move to New York.
I would not prefer it. That's the thing. But that's what everybody says is like that's where you go to get good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I know a couple of people that have made that move. Actually, the part of the reason why you're here today is because Jordan Scott Huggins is now living in New York City now. So like
I didn't hear this story. Am I his replacement?
I'm his replacement of the show. The show you're on.
Okay.
The show that you're on. Like I am now the host of a show that he ran.
Oh, Jordan wouldn't book me?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
what a jerk.
I know. I mean, seriously, you had to get someone like me in here to bring you all the way to Charlotte, North Carolina. You know, sit down, and that's why I got you on the podcast and everything like that. So
good to be here. A lot of the gigs that I get are all word of mouth because I don't do. I shouldn't say I don't do, but I'm awful at social media and like getting a good clip together, networking, that sort of thing. So people have to see me to perform before they even consider me. So
that's the big part of it too. Is you have to. It's a social media. The same thing with wrestling. You know, that's how it is. So. But I saw you and first met you at a Bonkers Comedy Club here in Charlotte.
We did a hotel show.
A hotel buffet room, sir. Hotel buffet room. Okay,
yeah,
like
that's true.
We were in the area where they serve the free breakfast in the morning. Show that place some respect.
This is how cheap the hotel was. No free breakfast. No
free breakfast.
I stayed in the hotel,
yeah.
So I know for sure. No free breakfast. $10.
So you had to pay, even though you were performing there that night.
Yes, I had to pay for breakfast. Well, we got one free meal. So breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
Yeah, what are you going to choose? Because breakfast is probably cheaper, but dinner you could get yourself a steak.
Of course. I got a steak both nights.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but no, like I said, I was like, I really wanted to bring you up here and stuff like that. You know, like you're living in Charleston and stuff like that. And we were talking a little bit off camera, like Charleston.
Sure. Well, I thought it was being recorded, but
yeah. You know, but we're revisiting that right now.
Sure.
I want to see if your answer has changed now that I got you liquored up. You know, I trash the whole city. You know, that's kind of my goal.
I love Charlotte.
You love Charlotte?
I do.
Yeah.
It's a big city. It's like just at the cusp of being a big city.
Yeah, it really is. It like really wants to be Atlanta really badly.
Like, but it's not, which is great.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like there's some people like, oh, thank God it's not Atlanta. But then there's like certain people like, one day Charlotte will be Atlanta. I imagine that guy's like downtown and it's got like a big like window, like an evil villain, and looks over the city.
Sure. No, I saw a bunch of big buildings.
Big buildings, big windows, probably evil geniuses at the top of
By
them.
a bunch, I mean 3. You guys got 3 big buildings.
Well, we used to have just one, and then like just the last couple of years, we keep adding more. I know, it's just exploding.
Charleston doesn't have any. It's because, I don't know if you guys know this little trivia, it's a law in Charleston, city law, that buildings cannot be higher than the highest steeple for the churches, because the churches have to stand the highest in town.
Really?
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that's very interesting.
The biggest one is, I think, Francis Marion, the hotel. But
yeah, who would have thought that an old law in Charleston would inhibit progress? I never would have guessed that would ever be a thing in Charleston, South Carolina, that progress would be inhibited by something that's been on the books for a very long time.
Yeah, it's an old town.
A lot of history.
Yeah. The history. I work downtown on the Market Street, which is where, I don't know. I haven't taken one of those stupid history tours, so I don't know if they sold slaves there or not. I don't pay attention. I think they sold slaves like 2 blocks down or something like that. So every time they pass by, it's like, oh, it's not really the slave market, you know? It's like farmers market if they sold farms. You know, it's like, come on.
Yeah. Yes.
They sold slaves right here. Shut up.
Yeah. Like now you have hipsters and it's a farmer's market, but back in the day we all know what this was.
Right.
That's always a thing too. Like that, like going with my African American girlfriend to museums in the South gets really uncomfortable.
Sure. Yeah.
Because when they start bringing up the topic of slaves, they always have to feel like, well, you know, they weren't treated like others here. Like, oh, they were still owned by somebody, you know. They just didn't beat them as bad, so that's better? Like, I don't understand.
Because I get it. Like, they have to sugarcoat history a little bit so people aren't super uncomfortable during the tour. But, you know, be a little bit honest.
Yeah, because, I mean, and it really wasn't that long ago. Only a couple hundred years.
Couple hundred years. It's crazy. That's really not that long at all.
Heck, even like in the 90s, there were people that said that African Americans weren't smart enough to play quarterback. Like in the 90s. So like,
yeah.
So like, Jesus, like progress has taken a long time.
I don't know who said that. I'm sure somebody.
I watched the NFL.
Your uncle said that.
No,
and you're
no.
like, look, everybody says this. Okay.
No, I've seen the NFL Network. There are a lot of people that gave Warren Moon a hard time. 93 for the Houston Oilers. So, and I remember that being a big deal. I remember people like, oh, I can't believe Doug Williams led the Redskins to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, people said like Michael Vick, you know, couldn't be a great quarterback. Like, come on. Well, he's not a stereotype at all, right?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
He's just a great quarterback.
Yeah.
Nothing controversial about that guy at all.
Yeah. He's smart enough to play quarterback, definitely.
Absolutely.
Intelligent individual, makes good choices with his life.
Absolutely.
You know? Mid-Atlantic guy. Maybe I'll get him on the podcast and he can talk about all his ingenious decisions
Absolutely.
in life, you know? Maybe. We don't know.
Great guy. Don't follow, football that much, but
yeah. That's what I hear. So.
You a Browns fan?
No. I don't know. Here's the weird thing is I don't really have like a team or follow anybody, but I'm just like addicted to the documentaries on the NFL Network. So like it'd be like saying that I'm not a fan of Walking Dead, but I really love Talking Dead. You know, like
jeez, that's gay.
Yeah.
No, it's great. That's what I meant. You like the tabloids of the sports.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Like,
Wow.
also too, my uncle works for NFL Films, so like I'm like really hooked.
That's the one who said like black people couldn't be quarterback. Same uncle.
Nailed it. Yes, that's the
Okay.
same one. Yeah, of course. Super racist. Said all kinds of things. Even said that like the slaves weren't treated all that bad, you know, back in the day. So
Didn't a conservative pundit say that? Like, we're gonna get political, which is shitty, but whatever. Michelle Obama's like, like I live in a house that slaves built, and then like somebody's like, well, the White House slaves weren't, treated that badly.
Oh, I think that's Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah, Bill O'Reilly. There we go. He said it. Can you imagine the shit? I'm not conservative or Democrat or whatever, but can you imagine the shitstorm if Michelle Obama like didn't live in the White House? She has to live there. I mean, realistically.
Why wouldn't she live there? Like,
right? Why wouldn't she? Well,
or her and Brock not on good terms? Like, why wouldn't she? She's married to the president. Of course, she'd live in. The White House.
People would post on Facebook is if you don't like living there, then just leave. That's my conservative voice. Do a southern thing, but she could. I mean, could she realistically leave?
No. Why would you? If anything, it's like, no, this is mine now, motherfucker. Like, I think that's how you do it.
No, that's actually that's the best.
This is mine now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would love to see Michelle behind closed doors. Like, I'm sure she takes her earrings out and just like these motherfuckers. Like, I'm telling you, that's how my girlfriend is. Just telling, like, I'm not even the funniest person in my house, Mike. Like, my girlfriend.
No, I believe that.
Yeah. I set you up for that. Okay,
yeah,
I'm glad you took that. But no, like just asking my girlfriend how her day is. It's
sure.
Jesus.
Look, Michelle Obama, muscular arms. She didn't get that by not, I don't know, being a badass.
Exactly. Like I'm sure she's whipped a girl. I'm sure she has pulled a girl down by her hair, or at least ripped somebody's weave off, or something, or took out her extensions. I guarantee she's done that sometime in her life.
I don't know. I don't think Michelle Obama really hung out with that crowd too much.
I don't know. I feel like she got some scraps as a kid.
Have you seen her daughter's friends? Her daughter's obviously in the news for her twerking or whatever, which is fine.
Which is fine. She's a kid.
Yeah, like that's literally what all kids do.
Yeah.
But all her friends just as white as can be.
Mm-hmm. Well,
no weaves or extensions there.
Well, like, who's she really going to hang out with? You know what I'm saying? Like, Secret Services kids? Like, isn't that how that works? Like,
I don't know. I don't think they're allowed to do that.
They're allowed to do that? Like I said, I don't know how you could. I don't know how you make friends if you're like child of a president.
I just find it so strange that she was at that music, the festival or whatever, and like no guy tried to hit on her. Like the president's daughter's there. That's the girl I'm targeting. Mm-hmm. Are you kidding me? The paycheck that you get for successfully bagging that would be incredible. Of course, you would get your background checked and like all that stuff, which would be terrible for me, especially. But
but yeah, all that. Well, that was the funny thing when I said like, well, that was what Obama said. I thought it was funny. He was talking to his daughters. His daughters were. He was doing some interview and he was talking about his daughters and he said that they're always complaining that they have to have Secret Service people following them around, and then I have to explain to him like, look, you wouldn't be going to any of these places unless you had an armed, Secret Service guy with you. Like, I wouldn't let you go to this place. To be quite honest, but now that I know that I have professional bodyguards following you around, yeah, I'm kind of okay with you being at this place.
Sure.
Like, I find that interesting. That he's like, yeah, you can go, but guess what? You got like 4 other guys with earpieces and guns on them to make sure if shit goes sideways, that it's going to be handled.
Yeah.
So
it's great. Some peace of mind.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I don't even know what topics we're talking about.
I don't know. We just got on the Obamas for no reason.
No reason. Well, they're fascinating.
Yeah, he was just on Comedians in Cars getting coffee, so he's out there to do stuff like this. So you should reach out.
Well, you got to be connected to the Southeast somehow. That's kind of the stipulation.
Okay, so you wouldn't let him on. You'd be like, look, Brock, I appreciate your interest, but
yeah, I don't think you've done enough for the Southeast.
Yeah,
like,
I understand.
I don't want to really bend the rules.
Of course, because then everybody's gonna want to get on. It's like, look, I can't make any
and then
exceptions.
we're opening like Pandora's box, and I really want to do this, and I just let anybody on here. Like,
it's very selective.
It's like my one niche of the program.
I understand.
Can't.
Yeah, this program has no structure whatsoever.
No, we're just talking.
I like that though. It's great.
Yeah.
You don't have any like icebreakers for really boring people?
Why do you think this is getting real boring? Should I have icebreakers?
I don't know. Maybe.
Just have them in my back pocket just in case.
Sure.
I mean, I tried my one good segue, and then we completely.
What's the weirdest place you ever had sex?
I don't know. Where is the weirdest place you've ever had sex, Mike?
That
Brocki?
wasn't like a thing where I got blown in a bathroom at a bar. It's not like a thing. I don't like to talk about it, especially
You're the one that brought it up. Like, you could have picked any icebreaker on the planet. You picked that one. I have a feeling that you wanted to talk about it, so I'm giving you an open platform, an open microphone, a camera to get your face like out there. And
I wanted to know about you, Jake.
You want to know about me?
This is where we flipped around.
Okay. I'm an open book. What do you want to know about me?
Man, when did you decide to shave your head and grow a mustache?
Ooh, those are some good questions.
Because it's a distinct look.
Oh yeah. It's a choice. It may not be the best choice, but I made a choice to have this.
Absolutely,
face.
Yeah.
I dyed my hair a lot in high school because my friend dyed his hair. Like, I did all kinds of weird stuff. Like, I put like tiger stripes in my hair.
Jeez, you were the tiger stripe kid.
But the thing is, like, I got red hair.
Oh, you wrestled in high school, didn't you? Probably. Yeah. Okay.
Like
so you're
amateur.
an athlete. You could like do stuff like that and pull it off.
Yeah, I was doing shit like that all the time. And then I was also had like a goatee in high school. So like, and of course, like Scott Steiner was real big, and he had like a blonde like goatee. So I made my goatee blonde. But the thing is, when you do that, you have to like get it really hot under a lot of heat. And basically what happened is I fried the top of my head. So I was going bald at like 19 because I basically had fried the top of my head from dyeing it so much.
Oh, wow.
So like I was trying to grow it long because I'm like, oh, all professional.
So it wasn't genetics at all.
No, it was all my
Okay, so the
stupidity.
bald thing is kind of just you're doing what you have to do.
Yes,
Okay.
because I tried to grow it really, really long.
So you don't have to explain that. This is the preferred thing for you.
I lucked out. My head's fairly good. I don't have a lot of dents in it and things going wrong with it.
It's a good head. It's a good,
yeah.
It's a good bald head.
I feel like I made the right decision on that. As far as the mustache goes, I came a little bit later. I was growing a beard for a while, and then I had a tag team partner his name was Grizzly Redwood. He had a beard much like yourself. He was the world's littlest lumberjack. I was the Man Scout Jake Manning, and we were the Great Outdoors.
If people don't know that that you're a wrestler, just you saying like I had a partner and he was a lumberjack.
His name was Grizzly.
His name was Grizzly.
World's littlest lumberjack.
Very out of context, it can be misleading.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. But no, we were a tag team. I was Great Outdoors, and I was like, maybe I can try to grow a beard like him.
Sure.
And I couldn't do it.
So why a Boy Scout? Why not go Eagle Scout or something like that?
Well, I mean I'm the Man Scout, so that would outrank Boy Scout and all Eagle Scouts.
Sure.
I mean that's the shirt over there that I wear to the ring.
Wow.
So,
have you ever thought about changing your character?
do you think I should? Do you not like the shirt, or you're just?
I don't have an opinion.
You don't have an opinion? You're just digging? Just
I
fishing?
asked the question in the supermarket, and you.
Yeah, well, the last thing is like we're Facebook friends. I thought you might have seen a picture, but obviously not paying attention to my career.
I'm not saying that's a bad character. I think it's a great character. Okay. I mean, you can tie knots like crazy.
I tie guys in the knots.
Exactly. So it's great. You can survive outside the ring.
Oh, I'm so good at building a fire. You don't
Yeah.
even know how good I am. I'm really good at it. It's like the one thing I'm really good at as far as like anything camping related is building a fire.
You got it.
Yeah.
So without any thing, you can spin the sticks and make a fire.
Spin the sticks, and I've like even like fire pits that have been somewhat extinguished. I can find a spark in them, and then once I've started like many fires without matches.
You just find a spark in anything, can't you?
Yeah. It's just like between you and me right now. There's a spark happening.
A little bit. You're gonna kindle it.
Exactly. You said you got a beard just like my partner.
Wow.
My former partner, Grizzly.
This is gonna get weird.
But it was that I was growing my beard out, and while I was growing out, like I was like, I'm gonna shave it. And plus, I was feeling weird about turning. I think I was turning 30 at the time, or I was 31 at the time. And I was like, I'll just shave it because I'll look younger then. Because the nice thing about shaving your head young is you can kind of look the same age for a really long time. You know what I'm saying? Like if you look, people will think you're 20 when you're really like 35. Or
if you had hair and no facial hair, you would have like a Conan O'Brien, like a buff, shorter, and you're not a short man, but Conan's like 6'5" or whatever.
Oh, I wish I could have like a parted like hair with floppy. I would wish that so much, especially I think it'd fit better even for my
Do you have
character.
red hair?
Yes.
Red hair.
Red hair. Just like my mustache. That's like what's on the top of my head. So, but anyways, growing out, I was shaving my beard down. And like every man does, you're like, I wonder what it look like with the goatee. I wonder what it look like Fu Manchu. And then I got to this, and I was like, this doesn't look half bad. It looked better than the last time I tried to grow this. So I just kind of wore it around for a few days, and then I wore it like at a wrestling show, and then all my friends are like, no, that's how you need to look for the rest of your life. And
wow.
This is why I've been stuck with it probably for the last 5 years, 6 years.
That's great. No, I've
And that explains this whole matrix that is my face.
I'm the same way, I got out of the Air Force, grew out the beard. It worked for me. Okay.
Oh, you were in the Air Force.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's the boring part of my life.
Why is it the boring part of your life?
It's in Dover, Delaware. If you've never been to Dover, Delaware, don't go to Dover, Delaware.
Okay.
It's awful. I was like an aircraft mechanic, just real grunt work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, grunt as, Air Force grunt. As grunt as you can be in the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did that.
Okay. Well, when were you in the Air Force? What years?
Actually, the reason I got out of the Air Force was to pursue comedy, but I was in there from 2008 to 2012. So, got orders to Guam. It's a little island, which is beautiful. Probably, bang a lot of Guam girls. I don't know.
That's what you do,
But I was like, you know what? I want to do this comedy thing, and I'm never going to do the comedy thing if I go to Guam. There's no comedy scene in Guam.
There's no mics, you can
right?
hit up.
There's no mics. There's nothing in Guam. So I was like, all right, getting out.
Did you tour? You're done. So where do you go from there? Like you're like, okay, I'm going to do comedy now. Obviously, you get that sweet money from the service. I'm guessing. You're like, nothing, none of that.
No, nothing.
Nothing.
No sweet money from the service.
No GI Bill or anything.
Yeah, you do get the GI Bill. So I get money to go to school, but you got to go to school for that.
You got to go to school for that.
Right.
But you want to do comedy. Where do you go?
Right. Exactly. That's a question.
Yeah. You haven't figured that out yet. You haven't figured out where you're going to go to do comedy? Like where did you go?
Well, I know where I developed. That's Charleston.
That's Charleston. So, you decided to go to Charleston.
I was in the Panhandle of Florida for about a year, and there was a guy who does comedy out there, and then he was different. So he was a black crowd work comedian, but he took me under his wing. He tried to teach me the best that he could, but however, our styles were completely different. He knew that I was passionate about comedy, but he had no way to really, help me out because I wanted to write jokes. I'm a joke writer. So it didn't work out. Like I had shitty rooms, blah blah blah. They were expecting black crowd work comedian.
They got this.
I opened up for him. They did not get that. So it wasn't working out. And I was so fresh and new at that point. I knew that I wanted to do comedy, but I didn't know how to do it. So I moved to Charleston. That's when there's a tight-knit scene of very creative people in Charleston. And I got, hooked up with a lot of people there, and that's when I developed into who I am today. And I'm ready to take the next step to a bigger city. So that's kind of what I'm deciding right now.
Mm-hmm. If we say a tight-knit group of people, was it all comedians or was it artists? Talk about that community. Because, I see a lot of people, come out of Charleston that are, artists. I meet people that, do acting down there. I meet people that are chefs. There's a ton of chefs. Every time you turn on the Food Network, it always seems like somebody's, in some cooking competition from Charleston.
Yeah, Charleston does have a big art community in general. Food. Charleston's a huge food town. Obviously, I didn't gain 30 pounds moving to Charleston for the history. Amazing food in Charleston. Good art, too. It's a little annoying, though. There's too much art in Charleston. There's 50, 60, 70 art studios. And Charleston is a tiny peninsula. You can walk from one end to the other in an hour. That's how small the peninsula is, the actual city is. So we have way too much art. But there's a lot of talented artists. So, and there's also talented comedians and musicians. So it's tight knit. But what I mean by that, to answer your question, is small population, a lot of creative, interesting people.
So all kinds of this guy's an artist, this guy's a musician.
Absolutely.
It's all very. Everybody knows each other.
Yes, exactly. It's a small town, basically.
Do you feel like that helps it a little bit? Because if you're around all these people all the time, you obviously need almost kind of outsiders to decide whether your art is worth anything. Where if you're this guy's my friend, I'll tell him it's good, and
the great thing about Charleston is that it also has the snooty side of it.
Okay.
And this is a positive because, usually not positive, but it's positive because there is a small pool of people to criticize, but they're very critical. So you can't really tell bullshit hack stuff in Charleston and them just oh yeah, that's great. You have to be creative. You have to be cutting edge in a lot of ways. And Charleston audiences are very critical, and they won't accept you if you're not good. So it helps. Charleston has a very, nose in the air, kind of snooty side of it as well. It's an old southern town, so.
It's almost like that Southern gentleman that's just oh, I cannot believe they did that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just very much like that. Just full of themselves and such in a sense.
Yeah, Charleston's a very it's infinitely nuanced in that you learn new stuff about it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting town, which I'm sure every town is, nuanced like that.
Yeah, every town's got its little history and stuff like that. And that's something that I learned when I moved here. Especially just like each town's got a little bit of wrestling history too, because like Jim Crockett Promotions was run out of Charlotte, and they used to tour all these towns. So, and then of course they ended up on the Superstation on TBS, and so you'd have these guys that are worldwide celebrities, like just going to Spartanburg, South Carolina, and wrestling in front of 2,000 people, and then the next day they're in, Charleston. The next day they're in Fayetteville, and all in thousands of people, and then they're flying to Chicago for a pay-per-view, and then coming back for a Sunday show in Charlotte. So like each town's like, oh, this is where they did this angle, or this, there's always little like weird history things to it, I always found and that I'm only bringing up wrestling because it's my art, you know what I'm saying? And
sure.
That's, there's little
certainly not comedy.
Back to me not being the funniest person even in my household. So, like I said, later on tonight when you're hanging out, my girlfriend's here, then I'm gonna be like the third best comedian in my house, and then
stop
it's
it.
gonna be the most humiliating thing.
You're too muscular to be this unsure of yourself.
I know, like I'm so vascular that I just you think I'd be more confident in myself. I got so much you think I'd have so much positive blood just pumping through my veins right now? Nothing. Just hate myself.
Yeah, I think that's all comics hate themselves. I think that's a healthy trait for a comedian.
Oh, absolutely. Like I tell my girlfriend, like when I was talking about something about wrestling, and I got like really revved up, and she's like, "You're still very bitter about wrestling," and I go, "Yeah, it's like the fuel that fuels me. Like that's the thing that burns me. Like, do you find that sometimes you run off of negative energy, or what fuels you? What's your fuel?"
Huge negative energy guy.
Yeah.
If some people are complimenting me, I'm like, stop. Tell me what I did wrong. Because that's what I'm going to remember. I'm not going to remember the things I did well. I'm going to dwell on the stuff that I did wrong. And if I dwell on that stuff and I fix that stuff, then it's going to be all good. Because if you tell me, "Oh, you did a great job," This is
you already know that. I want to know where the weaknesses are.
The reason I'm up on stage is because I'm cocky and I think I'm the best. You don't have to tell me the good stuff I did. I already know that. Tell me the bad stuff, because then I can dwell on it and I can really think about how I can change it. This is why, and it's going to be an unpopular opinion, this is why I feel like the improv kind of mindset is not the best. It's so positive. Everything you do is great. Even the mistakes you make are great. The mistakes you make are opportunities. No, they're not. The mistakes you make are mistakes, and you need to correct the mistakes that you make. If the audience hates you, you're not doing your thing. The audience hates you. You need to find a way for the audience to like you so you can entertain them. And so I don't know.
No,
you're an improv guy.
No,
You do improv.
I do improv, but I am awful at it, and I feel like because of that same reason right there, I definitely feel you on that, because it's like, no, like things should be done right, things should be done correctly. And also another thing that I found out why I probably prefer stand up over like improv and over even professional wrestling is cooperation. I don't like to cooperate with others. I don't like other people coming up with, "Oh, I did this because I felt like this." No, you fucked up. Like, you shouldn't have done that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, I was going in this direction and it was going to be good, and you ruined it. And
I should. Yes, and. So, well, this is interesting. I don't know if you've broken the veil yet on your podcast, but wrestling's a lot like improv in that you do a lot of stuff on the fly.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of yes-anding in wrestling. I've heard stories of wrestlers who don't yes-and, who are like, "Nope, I'm doing this thing," and they actually physically hurt the person because they're like, "We're doing this thing. It's going to be better."
I've been on both sides of it.
Yes.
I've done it to people, and people have done it to me. Because I'm like, "Fuck this is wrong," or, "Oh, you didn't fucking take care of me then? Well, guess what? I'm not going to take care of you now." You know?
So that's interesting. There's a physical aspect of yes-anding in wrestling, whereas improvisers, when you're just trying to make people laugh, it's not like you're going to choke slam them for real.
You're not going to
just
hurt
teach-
anybody. You're not
Yes,
going to hurt
exactly.
anybody. And also, too, like if you have somebody who's really good at improv and can take it someplace,
Yeah.
like, you know, obviously in those instances, like, oh, no, everything's okay. Like, there's people that when that happens, they can come in and scoop in and make it perfect. But then there's other people that just make it worse. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And we can't just sit there
Sure.
and say, oh, it's okay, mistakes happen. No, this guy was making it worse the whole time.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? There are those people that when a mistake does happen, then they can make magic out of it and then it works. And then, you know, luckily you made that mistake because we would have got there. But the only reason we got to this wonderful, beautiful thing is somebody was super talented and was good at what they do.
A lot of problems with like beginning or level 1 improv is the people who will just harpoon everything, just destroy everything. They just get encouraged.
Yeah.
And
Like, and it's almost a situation like, oh, if you're giving them compliments and saying, oh, that was good. Well, if that's good improv, I don't want to do improv.
yes.
But that's sometimes the frustrating thing in it, you know, because like I said, in wrestling, you can't be that way or else somebody will get hurt.
Sure.
Improv, you know, if a scene goes bad, everybody can have a beer and walk away.
A lot of times when you're starting to do comedy, improv or stand-up, you hear laughter of the audience and you don't understand if it's nervous laughter or if it's quality laughter. Your brain doesn't make that distinction because you're so nervous you can't process it. So you just hear laughter and you just say, oh, God, it's good, good. So with improv, if people are nervously laughing because you're doing a terrible job, and then you get the feedback of great, awesome, keep doing, blah, 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 you're great, amazing. You never make the connection that you need to change. So to bring everything together. Whereas stand-up, it's like you'll get nervous laughter when you do your little autistic bit where you yell at the audience for a while, but eventually the laughter will stop.
Yeah, and you won't get it always, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Sometimes they won't care. Then that's when they tune out and they ignore you. And then they don't do that. And then you have to figure out, like, oh, it didn't work here. And then you get that point, like, well, it worked last time. I don't know why it worked here.
Yeah, like you can step off stage and be like, well, people laughed, but nobody came up to me and said, hey, great set.
Yeah.
That's weird. And then you can say that's weird a few times, and eventually it clicks. It's like, oh, they're laughing at me. I need to improve.
Yeah, obviously. But yeah, like that's like the big thing with me is that you got to feed off the negativity. You need that sometimes.
I feel like you do. I feel like you need the negativity.
Yeah, especially if somebody like does better than you, and you're like, no, I got to show this motherfucker that I'm funny too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think you need a little bit of that too. You need a little bit of the jealousy. You need like the dark corners of your soul to perform.
Absolutely, which is part of the reason why I need to eventually leave Charleston. I have one or two people that are good in town that can really challenge me, you know, who can have way better sets than me at any given night with the same audience. So if you don't have anybody if you're just the best, like,
what's the point?
Your laurels, you're just gonna rest on them. You need that person to challenge you to get better, you know, and to try harder.
Yeah. You know, like, oh, this guy come up with this. I need to come up with more jokes. This guy's got a new 5 minutes every week. Fuck.
Right,
You know
exactly. That's why New York's such a place where people complain about the mics in New York. The mics are just all comics. Nobody pays attention to you. They suck. But you get better in New York because you're always trying to be better than everybody else. And there's a lot of people to try to be better than. So eventually you get good.
Yeah, or you quit and it's done
Right.
and it's over with. There's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. You tried it. Goodbye. You know? But like, yeah, you like I said, you need to feed off that. And I feel like I'm trying to be more positive in life. You know what I'm saying? And I think you have to have a nice mix of that because you have to believe in yourself in the end, right? Like,
absolutely.
You know, like you just said, you believe like you're the funniest guy on stage and you have a big ego. You've got to have that.
Absolutely, you have to. You have to think you're the funniest person on earth. Otherwise, why are you doing it?
You know, but like you have to have that belief, like, no, what I'm doing is right. I'm not crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's just a very hard thing, especially if like you need that negativity to drive you forward. You know, like I feel like I'm tussling with it now. I definitely didn't balance it very well in pro wrestling. That's for sure. Because I was always beating myself like, I suck. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, why would this guy book me? Because I'm not that good. And then you live in that for a year, and then people are like, why is this guy always fucking? And that's another thing too. Is like if you carry around that negativity so hard on you, like even like outside of your performance, like people just don't want to be around you.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Like you almost got to be a positive guy to be around. Like you can be hard on yourself, but you got to like invite people in. Because you want to hang around that guy. You know?
No, that's actually a really good point.
Because if you're always like, oh, fuck, I got to do better, and then you're hard on yourself, like, I don't want to hang around that guy. Because it's all. It's another thing too. Is like with comedy, it's like I know you, you know me, and like hey, can you get me here, or hey, somebody.
Absolutely.
I can get in contact. It's all a friend system. Like I was asking somebody because I had no idea how to do this. Like it's like I get the point that I go to open mics and I come up with the material, but how the fuck do I do this? And basically I said, I was like, just go up as much as possible and make as many friends as possible. I'm like, is that it? Like, you just make friends? Like, that's all it is? It's just making friends at the end of the day? And then they help you and you help them and it all works out,
Yeah, you get funnier together. That's the idea.
Hence why I was like, hey, I like Mike. Bring him here. This is my one opportunity to book somebody. I liked him. I don't see him in this area very often.
I love it.
So that's why you're here, So it's
Did you just say we're friends right now? This is on camera.
I mean, we'll see. Like it's very early. Very early. We'll see how it goes. We're making friends. We're inching our way there.
Wow.
So
inching, just
inching
using that language.
Inching, just inching, very slowly. But no. You're here tonight, but you're about ready to go on the road here pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm doing a little thing. Actually, it sparked because you invited me to do this show, and then I was like, well, why don't I put together some more shows, see if I can make a run of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had my buddy Dusty Slay, who's a very good friend of mine. Mm-hmm. He's out in Nashville, so he had a little showcase tomorrow, so I'm doing that. And then I want to go to Chicago to visit people. And then, there's a big city right in the middle there, Indianapolis, which I have a good friend at. Maybe I can get a couple shows there. And then so I got a couple shows there. And then now I'm going to Chicago, back to my hometown. I have the first day there, I have a show. And like I said, I have like a big gap where I don't have anything, which I'll figure out. Mm-hmm. But then I have a show where my mom lives and where my brother's visiting in Detroit area. So I got that. And then, so I made a little tour. Yeah. I'm only getting paid for a few of them, but that's okay. Mm-hmm. My goal is to break even. If I can break even, I'm perfectly happy with that.
Yeah, I mean that's the goal, is to break even. That when I went down to Atlanta, like I went down, did a couple mics and a wrestling show, broke exactly even. Like I was like, oh, this is a win-win.
Then it's a trip. It's a free trip.
Yeah, like that's the beauty of it, is when you start like making it work like that. But I did that because of merch. So just to get you back on that merch train, as we were talking about before.
Yeah.
In the secret part of this podcast,
I can sell wrestling figurines that I stole. That's going to be my merch. He's got wrestling figurines, folks.
Which I actually stole from my former roommate because he owed me back rent. So
wow, how much? So you have a monetary amount in your mind about how much those are worth?
A little bit, but it doesn't even come close to the money he owes me. I'm not going to see that, so I'm just kind of like, yep, these are.
You
mine
can't
now.
see, but it's
a lot.
It's a lot. It's a hefty amount. I'm going to say about 50 figurines.
Mm-hmm.
Would you call them figurines? Action figures?
Yeah, action figures.
Action figures.
Yeah. Call them that.
Wow. What a collection. Oh, we got Hulk Hogan over there. Mm-hmm. I don't recognize too many of these people.
Yeah, well, they're the classic. Did you get the Harley Races? You get the Paul Orndorffs, Bam Bam Bigelow's, Bruiser Brodies. Guys, you probably...
Your viewers or listeners probably understand this.
Some of them, the wrestling fans do, which is pretty much most of my audience probably know.
All right, cool.
So.
Well, now I don't want to trash on wrestling too much. A lot of them probably have figurines, and they're like, "Fuck that guy."
Fuck that guy. Calling them fucking dolls and shit.
I never called them dolls. Never called them dolls.
I like how a $5,000 computer over your left shoulder, but you're more interested in my action figure collection.
Wow.
So
yeah, didn't even notice that computer.
Probably
when you have an arcade machine, like nobody's gonna notice the fucking computer. I see those every day, all day.
Yeah, it's just a regular computer, but yeah, my WrestleFest arcade game.
Sure, absolutely. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sticks out.
Part of having a nice place is just having interesting things. Mm-hmm. You don't have to have nice things; just have interesting things. Mm-hmm. Especially as a man, we don't have to decorate.
Oh, I wish I could get rid of stuff. Like I could live with far less. Now, there's a lot of things in this room that are pretty essential, though.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the first thing that came to my mind. This stuff's essential.
Essential. Like the WrestleFest arcade game.
Of course.
Action figures.
Absolutely.
This banner and the computer. Essential. Definitely.
The spandex. Everywhere. Essential.
I'm trying to get somebody to buy them. I have like fans that buy.
How come you haven't commissioned a spandex Boy Scout uniform yet?
Well, it's.
I don't want to tell you how to run your business.
Well, part of my outfit is spandex.
Okay.
Yeah, like I wear the short shorts.
Sure.
And then I have a spandex top.
All right.
And then I have like neoprene knee pads, and of course like boots. But I wear the Boy Scout socks.
Have the Boy Scouts of America reached out to you and said, "Hey, please do not use our intellectual property"?
No, but I've reached out to them to be officially sponsored by them, and they never got back to me.
Wow.
So I made a very impassioned pitch and let them know my whole background and how,
Were you a Boy Scout at one point?
Yeah, I was an Eagle Scout.
Oh, sorry.
Eagle Scout. I was an Eagle Scout, motherfucker.
Wow. And we get it. You got like college credit for tying knots, teaching kids.
Yeah, that's the whole deal. That's actually my old shirt that I've got.
Wow. And you wear it on stage now?
I don't wear it on stage, but I wear it like
you know what I mean,
in the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wear it outside.
The stage is not a ring, but that's anything.
That's what you meant.
Anything in front of people for me is a stage.
Yeah. But yes, I wear it out. And I got my Man Scout manual. I wear the big hat like Sergeant Slaughter sometimes. So it's a whole deal.
Yeah, sounds like a whole deal.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing.
Yeah, it sounds like a thing.
So
it's great, man. I don't have a thing.
You don't have a thing?
No thing.
Just be funny.
That's my thing.
Mm-hmm. That's your big thing.
Yeah.
So, well, we are getting fairly close to the end and fairly close to when the show happens.
Well, sorry guys.
Well,
for this terrible.
No, we're not. But we're not done.
Okay, all right.
I butter you up just for the sole purpose right here. This is
where we're gonna get cut deep.
This is where we cut deep.
Okay.
Okay. Like I do this whole podcast basically to ask this one question, and I just hopefully I've got you loose enough to do so. And we're going to have a conversation about it.
So nervous now. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I put a lot of weight behind this question.
Okay.
Basically, like I said, I think I was telling before, all the different types of people that I talk to.
Okay.
The varying degrees of people that I bring in. They're all from different walks of life, varying degrees of success. And I get them in here, and we talk for a little bit, but then I get to this one moment where I ask them about success. What does it mean? Is it obtainable? Do you have it defined? Does it have a dollar amount attached to it? Do you feel like you've achieved it? Do you think you'll ever achieve it? When I say the word success, what pops in your mind?
Cool. That's an easy question for me to answer, actually.
Wow. Okay. Well,
because a lot of what I picture success being is me doing the thing that I want to do for the rest of my life, which is stand-up comedy. Or comedy in general. I'd be a comedy writer too. So comedy in general, making 100% of my income from comedy, being satisfied. This one's a little bit difficult because I can't define it to you now because maybe I don't know what it means. To be satisfied with the relationships in my life, the job that I have, the place that I live, like just with my life in general, just being satisfied with what I have going on outside of external factors. And then 100% of my income being from what I want to do for the rest of my life. And that's what success is to me. I'll feel successful. Do I have to be rich and famous? No. Do I want to be rich and famous? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But I don't have to feel successful. I feel successful for where I'm at right now. Am I? No. But do I feel it? Yeah, I'm getting there.
Okay. Well, let me ask you a few follow-up questions then.
Okay.
When you talk about, making comedy like, your number one source of income, you could do that. For sure. And, like you said, just being a comedy writer, obviously you'd be writing for somebody else, but nobody would know who you are, but you make 100% of your income from that. Could you live?
I could live with nobody knowing who I am, but doing what I want to do, which is make people laugh. If it's that sitcom that I write for or whatever, and it's bringing joy to people, I don't have to be on it, honestly. Okay. I just love the act of making people laugh.
Okay, well then the other prong of that, you talk about it like, okay, I'm writing on a sitcom and make people laugh. What if it's a sitcom that's like a very 2.5 Men Chuck Lorre type thing that people kind of make fun of, like, oh, I don't know why this is funny, or like if you're a stand-up comedian.
I'll do you one better. I'll improve your question.
Okay.
So 2.5 Men I'd be okay with.
Okay.
But like a Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
That's what I would have issue with. I would not be satisfied. That's where the satisfaction thing comes from.
Okay.
I wouldn't be satisfied writing for that show.
Okay.
If my creative ideas would get pushed aside for more like stupid, like mainstream bullshit, I would have an issue with that. So it would have to be a product that I'm happy with.
Okay, so there's a little bit of condition.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, when that rubber meets the road of the situation.
What's more important?
Yeah.
So the creativeness. Absolutely. 100%. I've been poor my entire life. I have no problem being poor. Mm-hmm. Okay, there's another condition. Like, how much money are we talking about?
See, now here's the thing. You're putting so many conditions on success. Do you even think it's obtainable? Like, you got a limitations here on your success, and now you've got it very finite. Before, it's very broad vision. Now we're finiting it here. Now do you find like it's maybe a little bit hard to achieve?
You feel like you're getting so Dr. Phil with me?
It's the mustache and the bald head. You wouldn't be the first person to be confused by that.
So a lot of conditions. Is it obtainable? Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Will I obtain it? Who knows? That's the short answer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we got to the crux of it. Anything else you want to discuss with that? Did I cover it? Anything else another condition you want to put on it?
Another condition. Oh man, so many conditions. I don't think that's too many conditions. I have to be happy doing what I'm doing, and I got to make 100% of my income from it. Mm-hmm. Boom.
You're satisfied with the product you put out in the world.
Sure.
Okay.
That's a couple conditions.
It's a couple conditions. It's very hard to do. In any field, especially an artistic one, especially when there's a dollar amount attached to it.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, all we can do is try, Mm-hmm. We're on this earth for one time. You might as well do what you want to do. If you're an accountant and you hate your life and you hate your job, you're not living. So what's the point?
There you go. If you're not living, what's the point?
Just kill yourself.
Kill yourself.
Folks, that's what I'm saying. If you're not happy with your life.
Overpopulation is kind of a concern right now. If you're not happy.
Let's just end this on the worst possible note. Just a total downer. Look, if you're not happy in life, there's no point in living.
Well, before we do get out of here, do keep in mind you have a live microphone to let everybody know, to plug your Twitters, your Facebook.
I'm Mike Brocki, Brocki on everything. Mm-hmm. Find me. I want to hang out with you. I want to be in your city and, do some comedy, make you laugh. That's really, if I do that, then I feel successful.
Yeah, especially if there's a Harris Teeter, you can get a sub, half sub at,
There's no context for what you just said. They don't know that we were just at Harris Teeter and we had a sub.
I don't care. This is my show. I can have whatever context I want.
It's cool. So. I ate a sub at Harris Teeter, folks.
Yeah. Well, anyways. Mike Brocki, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.